And now, it's time for The Dating Doctor.
Prescribed by Dr. Carlos
and Physicians Assistant Steve Estrada.
Yeah. Where are you? Hey, we need the karaoke words. We need the words, bro.
Away from me.
We need the words. They took the words out. You can't follow it, bro.
Got it.
Friday night karaoke.
Friday night karaoke.
This is the middle of Sunday. We can't. I need the words on the screen, bro.
Right?
Well,
especially on a Sunday.
There, I think.
You don't want to have to think.
We don't want to have to think. Absolutely, and we are looking to get signed.
That's still a dream.
We're good.
Party,
yeah.
album release party.
Yeah, we're good. We're good musicians. We're good musicians. I'd say. If we ever don't make it in radio, which, according to the numbers,
well, they're
we may not.
It's still early.
We're selling a lot of T-shirts, though.
They're heading in the right direction.
Selling a lot of T-shirts.
Not to 4.
If the T-shirts are any indication,
right?
It's hard to tell where we're going, though.
We're right on our way to somewhere.
Tell you what, man.
Holding out for a movie deal.
We are season 2, episode 2.
Unbelievable.
S2-E2.
S2-E2.
Nice.
The bingers are out there. The bingers are out there. Effective methods of influence is what we're going to be talking about today. But we will be hearing from our PA. He's going to tell us a little bit about a little experience that he had. And you know how good those are. So we're going to have to dig into that. And I did not do any preparation on that. So you get to hear me freestyle, discuss and so give some opinions on those experiences. So we have we're backed up on the T-shirt orders, right? We got, let me introduce what we got in the studio today, our team today, We got our PA, Physicians Assistant Steve Estrada.
Good afternoon.
And then we also got a special edition here today. We got Summer Sneed.
Hello.
Hello. And Summer Sneed is Steve Estrada's beautiful daughter.
Yes, I am.
So she's been asking to get on the show. So today is her debut.
Yes, it is.
Her tryout, if you will. She
you.
also, absolutely, say hello. Say hello.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Yes, she also happens to be married to our next guest, backed by unpopular demand. This is the 10th week in a row they let him in the studio, right?
He's getting better every week.
I am the KCAA punching bag.
Yes. Okay.
Sean Sneed, a.k.a. Sean Sneed.
Hey.
All right? But Summer loves him, so,
Sometimes.
Yeah, oh my God! So, anyways, you know what? Thanks for listening in today. We for you bingers, we're ready for you. The orders are on for the T-shirts are on back order. Summer keeps asking me for one, and I tell her as soon as we get some, I'm gonna give her one.
Yay!
Right? So, yes, I sold mine the other day. A guy on the street,
Sell it off the back.
Bro, I got $7 for it. Come on now.
$7. Woo!
I keep seeing them down at the 7-Eleven wearing the Dating Doctor T-shirt. I love it.
Does that cover cost?
It does.
That cover cost?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. So we're good. So why don't we let's start with a little bit of commentary from Steve and some background on a little experience that he had over here.
All right. Well, as you guys know that have been following and binging, all 12 of you, I am a single person, and so I've been going through the dating world experience. And since meeting Dr. Carlos a couple of years back, I have stepped up my game in terms of how I approach the dating world. I am in a different place from all the other years that I had been a single person. And so now I'm applying these principles that we're teaching here on the show and putting them into real life practice. And what I've discovered is that there are many different approaches out there by the ladies that I'm coming into contact with. And most of the approaches don't necessarily follow along with what it is that we teach on this show. So I'm going to share a particular group of experiences from a profile from a young lady that I met online.
All right. What
I don't know.
website? What
Are we
website?
allowed to say that? Is that okay?
Why not?
Are we getting endorsement dollars from?
Yeah, we'll get it.
Okay,
We'll
it's
get
a
it.
very exciting site called Plenty of Fish.
All right. All right.
You may have heard of it. You may have not heard of it.
Listen, they're out there. They're on that same website along with
I'm
others.
in my
Dangerous,
husband
shallow waters.
Shallow
No
waters.
need, no need for scuba gear.
And you know what I say about POF, right? You got to be able to throw it back in the ocean.
In the ocean.
Yeah.
If it's a bad catch, cut the bait.
You gotta cut. You gotta cut your losses.
Right.
Redo
Right.
your line.
Better to do it while you're out to sea. Don't bring it back.
Right.
Don't bring it back because they might have to spend the night or something. Right? Cut it.
It's a perfect name for a dating site because Plenty of Fish is a concept. There are plenty of fish out there, and we hopefully have the wherewithal to understand that you do have to throw somebody back into the sea.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're generally going to be putting up with some things that might not be good for you ultimately, and possibly lead to a short-lived relationship that has some damage along the way. So we want to be able to throw people back into the sea. Now, if you guys don't remember, last week I had mentioned the young lady had said to me, because this was we were realizing that we were not a fit, and so she made the comment that I think with my head and she thinks with her heart. And right there, I knew that was a huge red flag because I do think with my brain, I do think with my mind, I'm processing what I'm going through because I'm taking it very seriously. I'm not just looking for another good time, another playmate sort of situation. So I kind of tried to explain to her that statement and where I saw it being a problem, and she she didn't agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of went on from there. We are not dating anymore, and I did offer to be a friend to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I meant that genuinely because I knew that she was going to run into some guy who was going to give her a couple of lines of baloney. Very attractive woman too. So guys would be, doing their best to hide whatever their flaws are to get close to her because she is very attractive. So I offered to be a friend to her and maybe just, shoot the breeze about what she's going through. I did not hear back from her, however. So maybe she passed on the opportunity of a little friendship, but that's okay. She can reach out to me if she chooses at a later time. But what I did is I took a look at the profiles a little more diligently than normal. And for those of you that haven't been on the online dating sites, these profiles are very interesting. There's a lot of information on there. Some of it is really odd. A lot of it is makes you curious. And some of it flat out just makes no sense at all. And so I wanted to share some of this with you guys. But before I get into that, I know that Sean and Summer, you have a story related to Plenty of Fish. Could you please share that with us?
Let someone take
Well,
that.
I'll take this one. Basically, I was a single mom. I had 2 small children, so my friends introduced me to this site, Plenty of Fish. So I had a lot of men contact me a lot, so I had to start weeding them out. The highs and you're hot went away because I said you got to be more.
Yeah.
And this square guy was really square looking. And I was like, dude, it's not my style. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And he kept coming and coming. I was like, and he just was very generic. One thing he did say to me was, your beauty makes me speechless. And as we know Sean's need, it makes him a lot to get him speechless.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I'm hot. So I was
Speechless.
like, I got to meet this guy. And
Yeah.
I was like, and on my first date, he met my mom and my stepdad. And from that point on, we clicked. I mean, everything we did, we clicked. It was funny. And there we are. But our experiences was quite easy for us. But he just kept coming quite a few times.
Yeah, my experience was a little bit different. I went on a few dates, and
Well, I went on a few dates. Don't get me wrong.
it was pretty much.
Of course. Let's not have a breakup here.
I left him in the seat quite a bit. So
My take on it is like I had gotten stood up more than I did actually went on dates before I met Summer, before we went on our first date. So I actually sent her a message to try to contact her, actually 2 months before we actually got our first date, and she never responded. And I thought, oh, okay, well maybe she's seeing somebody, or she's not interested. So it took like 2 months before she finally responded to my message. Now, all I can say, obviously, our story is a successful one. Successful one, and so that I can't speak for anyone else, but I mean, it's really the only true dating that I did off that site, or any site for that matter.
Yeah,
but that was it.
But the love pictures were fake. They weren't real.
Yeah. Well, you guys, you had you could say a positive experience from Plenty of Fish, and I do know that I've met some great people on there, and haven't found a wife per se, because that's what I'm looking for. I want to get married again, but I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I see, and I see these things on a regular basis. They just happen to be in this one particular profile that I'm most recently familiar with. And one of the things that this young lady said in her profile is that she's not a non-judgmental person. And that one really stuck with me, because she literally described to me her long marriage and then her last relationship. And she described both of these fellows as really having some serious character flaws. And so I thought to myself, well, I guess you got what you deserved there, because you did not judge them. You did not hold them accountable. And I asked her about this. I said, if somebody's misbehaving, or somebody is not being a good person, or a principle-centered person like we teach on the show, doesn't it make sense to say something about that? She goes, yeah, well, I didn't want to cause trouble, and I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to cite that one statement, because we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
We've got to call people on their stuff.
Yeah, on their stuff.
And if we don't, we kind of get what we deserve.
Yes. Absolutely. So she's claiming to be non-judgmental.
That's what it's in right here. I'm reading the transcript.
Wow. So that tells me that she wouldn't have the ability to decipher good from bad.
You know what? I did not get a chance to get that broken down, because she did not like getting into a nice, strong, deep conversation.
Yeah.
The other line is she doesn't care much for drama. She doesn't care much for drama.
She doesn't.
And that followed that I'm not a non-judgmental person. So, I don't.
So you show up at a date. Do you not have to use judgment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, just in my early perception of that, what you just said, Steve, is that her non-judgmental is more like until you actually do or say something that she really has a problem with,
right?
Then she will be, judgmental.
That's when she'll say that it's judgmental.
Yeah.
Or that
you're okay, I'm okay. Whatever you're into, that's cool. And as soon as you do something that really, contradicts what she's into,
then it's right. Yeah. Then the judgment starts.
Yeah,
True.
And I think you have to come into it with, I am here to judge you and this situation, and whether we make any sense or not, and do we have a second date or not. So it was, and this is a very common phrase that's used in these dating sites.
Absolutely.
It's like, I read it as, you can do whatever you want. I'm never going to say anything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
So your actions are going to be judged, like it or not. So if you're wise, then you will act accordingly. And 2, your past is going to be judged as appropriate.
Absolutely.
As appropriate, and whatever that means.
Part of the story.
Whatever that means.
You can't avoid it. So that's a piece that I started with, guys. The next thing that I've highlighted here is she made the statement in her profile, I believe we all have a perfect match, and I'm ready to find mine. That one really, really got to me, because there's no perfect match.
No.
There's no perfect person.
No.
So therefore, if you have a view that is anything close to this, you're delusional.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're delusional, that speaks volumes about your maybe overall well-being inside of your head. Because, the thing that we got into in a conversation was that I was being too businesslike.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of an arrangement for me with her, because she made the comment to me. She said, when we had our first date. We were at a club. We were sitting at a nice little table. There was music playing. We were having a cocktail. We were sitting kind of close. It was cozy, and she's very attractive, so I was cozying up to her. And she described later, when we decided that things didn't go as we had hoped, she says, I wanted to put my hands all over you. I wanted to grab a hold of you. And I said, well, that's nice. But then she said, but then I'm not sure where things went awry. And I go,
Wow.
well, what happened?
Well, how did that happen? She's non-judgmental.
I did not get the answer to that question either.
Apparently, she judged.
She did judge. And I said, well, this is kind of important. And then what it brought to mind, and you know this story, Carlos, quite intimately, I gave her the example about what are we looking for in a mate. And the analogy I used was, think of a business owner. And we might have shared this on like one of the first shows.
We shared it.
Think of a business owner who's hiring their CEO or their chief financial officer, their most important employee.
Yep.
They're going to look at resumes. They're going to interview them. They're going to have multiple people interview them because this is such an important decision, that person filling that role. And I said, well, you just take that in the context of a relationship. How important is your partner in your relationship? I got to think it's at least that important.
Yeah.
And if I take a business-like approach to it, I don't know how that's viewed as a negative.
Right.
It's very confusing to me.
Well, I think on a first date, you'd be a little more relaxed. As my father, I know how he can be businesslike and, okay, this is how you're going to do it, this and that. It would just get me nervous. It would get me like, okay, let's relax a little bit. What's all these questions? What's going on? It's the first date. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
And with the other question, the last thing, what was the thing you said? What was she, believe that...
We're a perfect match?
I believe that there is a perfect match for somebody, for that particular person. There's no perfect person, but there's a person out there that's going to be fit for you.
Right.
And you're matched together as best as two human beings can be.
Right.
And I do believe that, and one day I'll find, I'm just kidding. But me and Sean I'm just kidding. Sean and I are very much alike. That's going to be also a negative thing. No, honey. There's also a negative thing to that, too, because we're so much alike. It's like, who's going to... You just do we need to, wait, we'll just tear up. We need to be the one. So, I usually am the heavier hand on that situation. But I think that there is a perfect match for somebody.
Okay.
But you have to maybe just, the questions, just chill, roll it in, get to know each other on the first date, then roll the questions out.
Yeah, I've been accused of being a little too intense.
You're very intense.
So the thing about a perfect match for someone, it's just, what scares me about that is that there are so many different personalities and people. Is like saying there's a perfect match out there for Jeffrey Dahmer.
Well, everyone can be loved, no matter who you are.
No, yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's not, we're speaking about effective relationships.
You're effectively meaning like your personality. Like, I think that's funny. The way you think of a movie things, your sense of humor, the way you dance, your sound of music. Those to me are perfect matches.
Yes.
Because material things don't matter to me. It's how you mesh and how you have fun together and how you work together.
Yeah.
So to me, that's perfect. They may be little things, but they're big to me. And I don't know how other people think, but that to me is a perfect match. Right. That's what I mean.
But how many people do you think were perfect matches, and then 70% of those ended up divorcing?
That's sad and unfortunate, because they thought they were. And then
exactly.
You get your new one.
Right.
You have another one out there. Another one, and another one. Yeah. And they've been having time.
Right. But that's what you want to avoid, though. The reason that you avoid that is by checking character, because...
But this girl looks like she's in the clouds a little bit.
She's absolutely...
she's a beautiful girl, but her head's in the clouds.
Yeah.
So let's move on from this, because it's very exciting, and I'm starting to get sad. Not really. She made another statement to me. I believe there is good in everyone, along with some bad. And that one really, it raised a red flag for me, because she's acknowledging what she told me she experienced in her long marriage and in her last relationship, the bad qualities. And it almost sounded to me like she was going to put up with the bad because there was some good coming from the person. And again, it got to the judgmental thing, holding people accountable, and I'm thinking, no, this girl would, she would put up with anything, and she would work hard to justify it rather than to call somebody on their crud. And I have a pretty strong aggressive personality.
Yeah.
I need somebody to,
Rein it in.
work with me and say, hey, that's not so good, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't think she would do that with me.
Right. It doesn't sound like it.
So red flag,
It is.
another red flag.
Yeah.
She did have some positive things here, and I like this one. She said, I believe in treating others with loving kindness.
So did Mother Teresa.
Loving,
True that.
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Loving kindness, huh?
Good one, honey.
Yeah, me too. But I thought that was two of the principles.
Yeah.
Do you love humanity, and are you kind?
Yeah.
All right. So I think we should probably get to this little business part of the show
Yep.
here, guys.
Let's do it.
Want to remind you that you're listening to The Dating Doctor on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 and 106.5 FM in the Inland Empire. And today, The Dating Doctor is brought to you by MeetingSinglesNow.com. We keep teasing them, boss, with this program, but we're going to have some very nice events for you.
Yep.
And this is where we bring you the best events to meet quality singles.
Quality.
Quality.
And please use your judgment skills.
And your perfect match.
Bring your judgment skills.
And some are saying that your perfect match will be there. Foolproof.
We're going to speak the perfect match on the other side of the break because there's an important point there.
All right, we'll talk to you on the other side of the break there. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I love you, baby. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Oh, yes, Steve. I love you, baby. Come on, bro. You stuck in the studio and you don't sing?
I'm still reeling, from the body shots I was taking
Oh, my
Right.
God,
Yeah.
man.
before that break,
Bro, we're going to have to talk to the security guard out there.
right?
You got to let them know you're going to sing next time, bro. You can't just sneak past through and not do the little
Yeah.
sing the hits.
Yeah.
These are hits, bro.
What did what's his name in Happy Days? Or the diner owner? No, the diner owner.
Al.
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 Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No,
This guy.
that's only Popeye, didn't I?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So what we're going to do. Our physician assistant was telling you about the dating experience, and we'll go back to that at the first section of our next episode, because that one can go on, and we got a lot of notes.
That was
to
just
cover there.
page one.
That's page one. So we're going to go to our prescription today. The prescription today is effective methods of influence. Okay?
Right.
Now, we all want to have positive influence with certain people in our personal and professional lives. Our motive may be to win new business, keep customers, maintain friendships, to change behaviors, or improve marriage and family relationships. Okay, but how do we do it? How do we powerfully and ethically influence the lives of other people? It's a big question. Now, Stephen Covey wrote that there are 3 basic categories of influence. One is to model by example so that others can see. 2 is to build caring relationships so that others can feel. And then 3, to mentor by instruction so that others can hear and learn from you. Teach them. And the following effective methods, what we call them effective methods of influence, will help you, clarify some of what we're talking about here. So the first one that we're going to talk about, and get your notepads out. I hope you have your mask on, because you can get bends.
We're going deep.
You can get bends. If you guys don't know what bends is, it's the diver's little disease. When you go down and then you have to come back up too fast.
That's right.
So make sure that you have your mask on. You got your oxygen to the tilt, because we're going deep.
Get ready.
We're going deep. We may even see a grouper.
Grouper or 2.
Right?
A group of groupers.
Sounds good.
So the first influence method is refrain from saying the unkind or negative thing, particularly when you are provoked or fatigued.
Hmm.
Okay, I know
That
you
might
guys
be
are
hard to
all
do.
thinking
Very
it
wise,
is hard.
very wise.
Might be hard to do.
In these circumstances, to not say the unkind or critical thing is a supreme form of self-mastery. Courage is the quality of every quality at its highest testing point. I hope you wrote that down. I'm going to say it again. Courage is the quality of every quality at its highest testing point. If we have no model of restraint to follow, we will likely take out our frustration on our fellow co-workers. We may need to find new models, new examples to follow, and learn to win our own battles privately, to get our motives straight, to gain perspective and control, and to back away from impulsively speaking or striking out. Okay, now I'm going to get some commentary from you guys on this. Remember, this is refrain from saying the unkind or negative thing, particularly when you're provoked or fatigued. And the courage line, what that means is courage, the courage it takes to withhold your temper, to withhold your unkind statements,
Striking back.
that type of courage is supreme.
Highest level.
Very
that's-
few people can.
Absolutely.
Very few people can live that.
Well, what's the phrase they say about power? Real power is having the ability to destroy your enemy or do something, do something, and then not doing it. It's like I forgot how the phrase goes. You guys want to talk about?
I think you messed that one up.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like-
Yeah.
I destroyed it.
Well, let me try this because
Yeah,
this speaks to me loudly.
Me
Yeah.
too.
When somebody comes at me and I think I want to snap right back at them because they, in my mind, deserve it, for me to not do that and for me to come at it from a position of I'm trying to influence this person, I'm trying to be someone in their life that's a positive force. And so what I want to do is I want to restrain from the thing that will agitate the situation more.
Yep.
Put some emotional deposits into that emotional bank account
Nice.
and tone it back, tone it down, and say, hey, I hear you, I feel you, and come at it kind, gentle. And then when I do that, you can bet money that that person's going to come back at me in a whole different light.
That's what we
And
call
that's the
effective
That's
method of influence.
Effective.
Absolutely.
And so that one, I'm glad you put that one first because that's a valuable lesson.
And do we know how hard or how courageous it is to withhold?
Very hard.
For my dad,
That's
that's
what I'm
huge.
talking
I mean,
about.
he's using that on me and my brother. He and my dad, we had tough years in the younger ages, but as we got older, become more adults, he's using what he's saying with us and me. And I react differently toward you now when you speak to me that way.
Right.
More respect.
More respect. Because
Yeah.
when you come at me like, blah, blah, and I'm sit down and I just, or
And I
cry.
gotta tell you, that's conventional. Most people do it.
Mhm.
Most people do come that way
Yeah.
with
And
the
I had a
anger.
problem with that too, and I'm like,
Right?
I want to lash out too. But
Right.
learning from what you've been showing me, I've been using
Now
that
you
and going that
Look
way.
at this. This
See,
is
I mean, I'm
good.
really proud of my dad and just everything that he's mature
All right,
and
let's-
grown up.
let's-
I mean, he's in a lot of
we don't
ways-
normally do
Yeah,
applauses
no,
on the
seriously,
show.
honestly, because he's acknowledging the faults, fixing the faults, and making it better. That made me want to acknowledge my faults, fix my faults, and be a better person.
This is going good for
And
me.
I really do commend
I
him
hope
for
I
making
hope those potential dates are listening.
yeah.
Well, we're going to have them get the replay of
Yeah,
this.
so you might catch a grouper.
Mike.
Honestly, I'm being truthful.
Grouper.
And I appreciate that little story there, Summer.
Yeah, no, it really helps me in a
Good
lot
job, Summer.
as an adult, with my father as an adult. Because
Well,
I'm a
very
mother, and it's hard to raise my kids and try
Yeah.
to do that and
Yeah.
rearrange a little bit of things that my parents may have did that I wasn't too fond of,
Yeah.
and make it right.
Right.
Even though my kids still say I do bad things, but we're not all perfect.
We're not.
So we're all learn from everything. I learn positive
Right.
and negative to make it better, and
Perfect.
then my kids will learn from that. So
There you go.
yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. So we take this one away, right? And we work on it. It's not from as far as from a dating perspective. I'm gonna tell you this: you get a chance when you're sitting out in front of somebody, and remember, on the first day, they may not say something unkind to you. If they do, please hit the road. But if they don't, but you hear them say something unkind about others, that is just as big a clue, guys. This is why we're talking about this.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Refrain from saying the unkind thing. Okay? So let's move to number 2. Number 2 says, exercise patience with others. Can we get a ooh?
Easier said than done. Easier said
We're
than
the
done.
same department here.
There we go. In times of stress, our impatience surfaces. We may say things we don't really mean or intend to, all out of proportion to reality. Or we may become sullen, communicating through emotion and attitude rather than words. You know what that looks like, passive, right?
Mm.
Eloquent messages of criticism, judgment, and rejection. We then harvest hurt feelings and strained relationships. Patience is the practical expression of faith, hope, wisdom, and love. It is a very active emotion. It is not indifference, sullen endurance, or resignation. Patience is emotional diligence. It accepts the reality of step-by-step processes and natural growth cycles. Life provides abundant chances to practice patience, to stretch the emotional fiber from waiting for a late person or plain to listening quietly to your child's feelings and experiences when other things are pressing, right? So you've seen people in traffic.
All the time.
You've seen people waiting for someone that's late.
All the time.
So what he's saying is that, I love that. This is Stephen Covey's words, by the way, guys, but listen to what he says here. He says, it is not indifference. It is not sullen endurance or resignation. But what it is the practical expression of faith, hope, wisdom, and love. That means it's all, you can see it in your child, and it's patience. It deals with love. It deals with wisdom. It deals with faith. It deals with hope.
Well, that's one of our foundational principles, patience, and
Patience.
everybody struggles with
Summer-
patience.
I'm very bad at patience.
Summer
I'm
goes,
better. I'm 40
"I have
years old now. I'm
patience."
better at patience.
Right.
I'm patient.
Well,
But sometimes it takes a little long.
I'm patient.
Dad's gotten better at being patient, but he goes never.
Yeah,
you know, Guns N' Roses sang about patience, and you know that's all you need to know. Axl,
Did you just say
Axl-
Guns N' Roses?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I introduced
What's the
Guns N'
song?
Roses
What's the
to
song?
show.
Patience.
Okay.
They do have
How
a
does it
song
go?
called
Just a
Patience.
little patience.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We better get that song on the show.
And
We'll
you
get- we'll
should
get-
do
we'll
the dance
get-
with the microphone.
Oh, yeah, you gotta love the Axl.
Sean did
That's
the
That's
dance.
my wife's favorite.
Axl
You knew
Rose
it?
dance.
Oh, you should have seen him. He was back in the day.
Sean, you were a Guns N' Roses?
I
He
was
was in a hairband.
I was a hairball.
Yep. Perfect.
Good.
Dude, I got
This
it.
is good. No.
Yeah, patient.
No.
Sean's very patient. I will give him that because he deals with me.
Sean is patient. We give him
Sean
a,
is patient.
a rough time.
I
He
met
takes it like a champ.
he
just
beats all
knowing
of
him.
us in patience.
Yeah, he's
I
a
don't have
patient guy.
He's up there.
Yeah.
He's a patient guy.
I'm not very good at
And let me tell you something.
Yes.
For you to be a good teacher, I would argue that for you to be successful in life with people, because you could be a rocket science somewhere in the back of some, garage and do something, and they don't let you out much, and you can still be successful.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with the money, but you'd be successful.
Yeah.
But we're talking about reality here. We're talking about an interdependent world where we have to work with others. We have to
Absolutely.
live with others, and relationships, whether work, at home, family, etc., are real.
That's right.
And patience is a key quality that we must develop if we want to become supreme.
Yeah.
And I don't mean supreme as superior. I mean supreme as as getting better, as growing to be a better person, as
Self.
Our best selves. Our best selves.
our best.
Yeah, that's
selves.
supreme.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that one, boy, we need to get some improvement in that department because most people don't have patience. Don't have patience. And what did you say? What were the 4 things? The love,
That makes it big. It's
I
love,
mean,
hope, faith,
faith, and there was
Wisdom.
enough wisdom.
and wisdom.
That's huge. Wisdom.
Come on now.
Boy, you
Those
put
are
those
great.
4
Come on.
together,
I like those two.
you make everything better.
Come on now.
Everything.
Yep.
I like that one. That was a good one.
And I mean, patience. You know, it's hard to say what could happen on the first date where you see the impatience, but you could see it. I'm
You
telling you.
could, especially if you have ADHD and they
I
talk
got
for a long
impatient.
time and you get very impatient because they won't get to a certain point of the
That's
story.
one thing.
But
Absolutely.
he didn't do
I
that.
got impatient on that date with this young lady
Yeah.
because she was giving me all these ridiculous answers and,
Right.
and statements, and I was impatient because it was like, come on, give me something good to work with here.
Yeah.
She didn't.
And I was impatient. I
Yeah.
could have gone slower and gentler.
Yeah.
So yeah, always something to strive for.
And see, we
Absolutely.
when we spot it in our personal relationships, this is when we know we don't want it, right? When we
Sure.
see it in other people, and I mean, when you're dating someone for 6, 8, 10 months, it starts coming out, right? All the truth.
My first date, I told him everything on the table right then. What I wanted, how I
I'm
wanted.
very
it,
impatient,
and I
right,
said,
you.
I'm this, I like this. Huh? I told you everything.
Yeah.
I
you
don't want to
did.
beat around the
You
bush.
did.
I knew what I
thought
wanted.
that was the
I
most,
didn't want to waste
that was
my
one of the most
time.
refreshing things ever because she didn't. I mean, we didn't have the dirty dozen to go on. We didn't have
I know.
that kind of
Yeah.
instruction, but we.
You that dirty laundry.
But when she pretty much put it all out
Put it
there,
all out there. So
and,
here's
so
the
I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna turn it around, lay it all out there, and so we had that to to go on. But one of the things that she never did was she never blamed her ex. She never blamed her ex for. I mean, later on I learned that she could have had plenty of reasons to blame him, but
I'm the only one to blame is myself. My own actions are my own actions. So that's why I blame. If the right things didn't go right, he had his part, but I blame for me. That's why I put my finger at anybody else. I am what I am.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I love that, and I'm going to tell you, all of you guys, that if you spot impatience, right, beware.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
could be asking for trouble, but that's okay. Look, everyone has to develop, right?
Absolutely.
But if you want the best, if you want the supreme, the people that are working on themselves, look. You have to look to see if they're way off to the damaging spectrum, right? You want them to be self-aware
Yeah.
of the things that they're not doing very well.
Be judgmental
I'm very
Be judgmental.
and don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Well, number three. Distinguish between the person and the behavior or performance. This is big. Okay? While we may disapprove of bad behavior and poor performance, we first need to communicate and help build a sense of intrinsic worth and self-esteem totally apart from comparisons and judgments. Now, doing this will powerfully inspire superior effort. The power to distinguish between person and performance and to communicate intrinsic worth flows naturally out of our own sense of intrinsic worth. And what this is saying is that if I spot you with a behavior that is not something that we like for that moment, right? We don't call you the behavior. We say, Steve, I see you behaving like this, right? So the acquisition is not you are this. The acquisition is, or the statement is, Steve, this is what I noticed you behaving like right now.
Point it out.
The behavior, not the person. You do not attack the person
That's a good one.
with the tagline of the behavior.
Yeah. that's-
But you can look at the behavior, tag the behavior, and say, yo, I know you're not that person.
so
I've seen you do better, right?
almost
Go
like
ahead.
love the sin or love the sinner, hate the sin, like that kind of mentality.
No, you just don't.
Yeah,
you don't
possibly,
sort of
possibly.
kind of-
No.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
but go ahead.
I was gonna think,
But
like,
it
if
opens
someone
the
said,
door.
It does.
you're pushing, trying to, you're doing this, you're doing that. Okay, instead of saying, I know that you're being out of line a little bit and this and that, you're not really attacking them as a person. Like you said, you're
talking about the behavior.
Yeah, but see, that's a good way to put it, though. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
And it opens
I
the
learned from
door
this.
to a conversation about the behavior.
Yep.
You're being a little impatient right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on there? What's happening?
Mhm.
And then you talk about it, and maybe you might learn something
Talking
that could make the situation better.
Yeah. And you can say, I noticed that you're being a little impatient, right? Now, what are you talking about? You're talking about the behavior observed.
Just the behavior.
You're not saying, dude, you are an impatient person.
Right.
Now that's an attack.
Yeah.
And people don't want to talk to you when you're attacking them, but they will be open to talking to you when you make them aware of something that they might recognize as not a good thing.
Yeah.
Great approach. These have been nuggets.
Oh, man. All right.
So, guys, let me let you know again that you're listening to The Dating Doctor on KCAA 1050 AM and 102.3 and 106.5 FM in the Inland Empire. And today, The Dating Doctor is brought to you by Canarian Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy, the latest innovation in the pursuit of optimal health.
All right. So we're going to go on our last break, and we'll talk to you on the other side. Thank you.
Need me to make you cry. I don't want to, but I'll try. So you don't have to love me.
You don't have to.
No, you don't.
I don't think you can be loved doing this. If we do this singing, I don't know if we can be loved. You know it.
I don't think
You know it.
We might influence in the wrong way.
That's a true
Well,
story.
that's how we know it must be love because
And this is pushing patience. This is
Yeah.
pushing patience.
Pushing patience.
yes.
All right, we are with the methods of influence. Effective methods of influence. Now, why do you want to use them? Because you want to create a great relationship between you and your mate, you and your children, you and your boss, you and your coworker. So, methods of influence. Effective methods of influence.
Effective.
You want to be better. You want to show people that you are real, that you are valuable. You may know it inside, but these are things that work outwardly. And it does come from your character because you can't fake these things. I'll tell you right now. You cannot fake patience.
No.
And if you do, it's not for long.
And
That's what I'm
last.
saying. Everything surfaces.
Yeah.
Everything surfaces.
Everything comes out eventually.
All of the weaknesses.
I
come
say 30 to 90 days. The
Be who
truth
you are,
will
true
always come
That's
out.
right.
For real. Because there's no reason to put a facade.
out, right? So this is number 4.
Number
This one's called Keep the Promises You Make to Others.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Amen.
boy.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. But you know what? This is the essence of integrity. Now I'm
Yes, it
going to tell you what it says here. Stephen Covey's words. Ready? By making and keeping our resolves and promises, we win influence with others.
Sounds simple.
To be and do better, we must make promises, resolutions, commitments, oaths, and covenants. But we should never make a promise we will not keep.
Yep.
Using self-knowledge, we can be very selective about the promises we make. Our ability to make and keep promises is one measure of faith in ourselves and of our integrity. End quote. Stephen Covey, my lifelong mentor and
Good
genius.
stuff. Good stuff.
That's great.
You make a promise and you keep a promise. Again, another deposit in that emotional bank account. You might think it's a small thing. It is
Huge.
not a small thing.
Huge thing.
It is not a small thing.
Really.
Here, I have a question. When do you consider a promise and not just a statement of intent?
And
So when stakes are high, for instance, Steve and I work together in many businesses, and you know, we ask each other to do things. I may ask Steve, hey, can we do this training? Can you do me a favor and take this home? And, you know, maybe a 400-page book or a 14 CD program. And he commits and he gives me dates. And he comes through. So this statement, because the stakes are high when he made the promise. This is not, you know, flimsy discussions. This is life talk.
Sure.
These are people that depend on each other. And by the way, children are the best at catching your flakiness.
Oh, yeah. And they will remember.
Right?
Mhm.
They're the best. Right? You said we were going to the park, and you think this is little thing. I'm telling you, you flake with them, and I guarantee you at work, it's the same thing. But your bosses, they won't put up with it. Right? Kids don't have a choice.
They have a choice, exactly.
Right?
But they don't forget.
But you know, you can do it so much to your kids. You can do it a little less to your spouse, if you know, if they don't mind staying there. You can do it a lot less to your coworkers, and you can do it even less to your boss.
Just don't break a promise. You say
Don't break a
just do it.
Summer,
Follow through
thank
with
you
the
for
promise.
that's not my
I'm
question.
thank you
So
for
there is
reining
something-
it in.
You make a promise. You say, "I promise." It's a
Wait,
promise.
but how like
Don't fib on.
But
Go ahead, go
where is the line drawn where it's set in stone that was a promise?
The word when you say
When
I
it's
promise.
said.
And when it's said,
Yeah,
Yes,
don't-
when it's
Yeah,
said.
when it said, you splitting hairs right now, brother.
no, I'm not.
This
I'm
one
not.
makes
It's when it's said.
I honestly wanted to know, like,
Well, you heard
How-
when it's
Doc-
I'm
said.
gonna take the trash out.
I'll be there
And then
Sunday.
You didn't take the trash out.
So
I'll be
that's
there
the-
Sunday. I'm gonna take the trash out.
and okay, so yeah, so I'll don't worry about it. I'll take the trash out in the
When the
morning,
words come out, it's a
or
promise.
not.
Yeah.
I
You
see
say,
you
I
struggling with this
promise.
one, Sean.
To
Yeah,
be there, I promise to do that. You made the words come out of your mouth, follow through, or
Say, do what you're gonna say you're gonna do.
What,
That's
It's
all.
all-
what's the difference? Well, where does the line be drawn?
Let's talk about dating. Let's talk about
the
dating.
words.
I'll call you tomorrow.
I
What
promise.
often happens?
They don't call.
They don't call.
They ghost them.
That was a commitment.
But they didn't say promise.
I'll text you when I get home.
Maybe.
They don't text. See, the problem is he's saying know yourself before you say silly things that you don't follow through with, because that's how you get in trouble. So don't say it. Don't say it.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
yes.
the problem is we're too loose because we want to represent ourselves in something we're not.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So watch it. When you're out there dating, watch it, right? Because this is for life.
People are paying attention. Somebody tells me they're gonna call and they don't call. I noticed.
People notice little
I
things,
noticed.
every little thing. I'm a very people person. I read them. I listen to everything they say. I want to know who they are inside and out. And if you're going to tell me something, you got to follow through with what you're saying. Don't put a facade on for me because you ain't going to win.
And by the way, your dad on Friday at the Christmas party, he won the biggest award that we have here at VBA at our company.
Very awesome.
The MVP, the most
Nice.
valuable player award for the year.
Yeah.
And he got a big old cheer, and everybody, a couple of people were crying. And
Aw.
tell you what, all right, that's all we have time for today.
All right.
Okay, we covered 4. We got many more to cover with you guys. We enjoyed it. Thank you, Summer, for
Merry
being here
Christmas.
today.
Thanks for having me.
We will talk to you guys next week. Merry Christmas. We
Merry
love you.
Christmas.
And the dating doctor's off.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.